Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're watching Nobody Believed What Chelsea Did in the 2012 UCL. I know they were the champions, but other than that, I don't know anything about that season in the in the UCL. So I think I'm going to learn a lot. Let's get into it.
Chelsea, a club built on pride, passion and perseverance, chasing a dream that had eluded them for generations, the UEFA Champions League trophy. But in the 2011-12 season, they turned that dream into reality. Against all odds, against Napoli's firepower, against Benfica's resilience, against Barcelona's dominance, and finally against Bayern Munich in their own fortress, Chelsea found a way against every challenge. This is the story of one of the most dramatic Champions League journeys ever told. And this is how it began.
Before starting, I think I remember one thing about the final. I think Drogba scored a header in that game, right? Let's see if I'm right.
2011-12 UEFA Champions League began with pressure, chaos and uncertainty surrounding Chelsea. A young manager, Andre Villas-Boas, just 33 years old, was tasked with rebuilding an aging squad filled with legends. John Terry, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, Petr Cech, Ashley Cole, warriors of the past. But were they still strong enough for the present? Critics said Chelsea were done, too old, too slow, too predictable, the end of an era. But what no one knew was that this team, a mix of fading legends and rising heroes, united under the calm guidance of Roberto Di Matteo, was about to carve its name into football history. And it all began in the group stage. Chelsea entered Group E with Bayer Leverkusen, Valencia and Genk. At first, everything seemed under control. A solid 2-0 win against Leverkusen at Stamford Bridge. A hard-fought draw away at Valencia. A 5-0 demolition of Genk that reminded Europe of Chelsea's power, but cracks were beginning to show. A costly mistake in Belgium led to a disappointing 1-1 draw. Then a late collapse in Germany saw Leverkusen beat Chelsea 2-1. Suddenly qualification looked shaky. Everything came down to the final match. Chelsea versus Valencia. Win or face humiliation. But on that night at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea didn't just win, they dominated. Didier Drogba scored twice in the 3rd and 76th minute. Ramirez added another in the 22nd, and Chelsea finished the group with authority. They topped the group. But the real drama was far from over. In fact, it hadn't even begun yet. The round of 16 brought chaos. Chelsea versus Napoli. A Napoli side powered by Edinson Cavani, Ezekiel Lavezzi and Marek Hamšík. Fast, ruthless, fearless. In Naples, Chelsea fell apart. Juan Mata scored early to give Chelsea the lead in the 27th minute, but Napoli responded with 3 unanswered goals. Lavezzi in the 39th and 65th, and Cavani in the 45th. Napoli 3, Chelsea 1. A brutal scoreline, a broken performance. And just days later, the inevitable happened. Andre Villas-Boas was sacked. His replacement? Assistant manager Roberto Di Matteo, a former Chelsea player in the 90s, a humble figure, and by all expectations, a temporary solution. Many thought this would be the end of Chelsea's journey. But what no one knew yet was that Di Matteo wasn't just coming to perform a rescue act. He was coming to perform a miracle. Chelsea needed 2 goals against a confident Napoli. The world expected Chelsea to fall, but the second leg at Stamford Bridge became the birth of a miracle. Drogba scored a header in the 29th minute. Terry also scored a header in 55th. Just a minute later, Inler scored for Napoli, but in the 75th, Lampard's penalty forced extra time. Chelsea roared back into life. And then, the moment. In the 105th minute, Branislav Ivanovic smashed home the winner. Stamford Bridge shook. Chelsea 4, Napoli 1, aggregate 5-4. Chelsea had survived. The first miracle was complete. The quarter-finals brought Benfica, a team known for their discipline, structure and fight. Chelsea won 1-0 in Lisbon thanks to Kalou, then sealed the tie 2-1 in London. Efficient, calm, controlled. But the real battle, the one that would define their season, awaited in the semis. Barcelona, the defending champions, the greatest team on earth, Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, Xavi Hernandez, Sergio Busquets, Dani Alves, a team engineered to dominate Europe. On paper, Chelsea had no chance, a fading squad against the perfect machine, yet football is not played on paper. But for Chelsea, this semi-final was more than a football match. It was unfinished business. You see, 3 years earlier in 2009, Barcelona had denied them a place in the Champions League final after one of the most controversial nights the competition had ever seen. At Stamford Bridge, Barcelona controlled everything: possession, shots, territory. Chelsea barely touched the ball, but they touched the net. Right before halftime, Lampard set Ramirez racing down the left. Ramirez squared it. Drogba finished it. Barcelona fans were stunned, just like the rest of the team, and that's how it remained until full time. Ashley Cole cleared off the line. Pedro hit the post. Barcelona did everything but score. The first leg ended 1-0 to Chelsea, a miracle at the bridge. But the real test was the second leg at the Camp Nou, the most intimidating stadium in world football, the night of destiny. Chelsea arrived in Barcelona with a 1-0 lead. They had one plan: defend with their lives. But from the very beginning, everything started to crumble. In the 35th minute, Barcelona struck first, just as everyone expected. A well-worked move ended with Sergio Busquets finishing from close range, leveling the tie on aggregate and igniting the stadium. And then came the moment that changed everything. With 8 minutes left in the first half, the linesman spotted John Terry kneeing Alexis Sanchez off the ball. The referee showed a straight red. Chelsea were now down to 10 men inside the Camp Nou against prime Barcelona. 6 minutes later, the punishment continued. Messi slipped a brilliant pass to Andres Iniesta, who finished calmly into the bottom corner. Barcelona now led 2-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate, and Chelsea.
At this point, the situation seems hopeless. I guess Chelsea is going to score and then win in the penalties. That's my prediction. Let's see if I'm correct.
His entire game plan seemed destroyed. But football loves moments that defy logic. Just before halftime, Frank Lampard picked out Ramirez, charging forward behind the Barca backline. With extraordinary composure, the Brazilian lifted a delicate, stunning chip over Victor Valdez. Suddenly, the aggregate score was 2-2, and Chelsea were ahead on away goals. Barcelona pushed harder than ever. Early in the second half, Didier Drogba fouled Fabregas inside the box, giving Messi a penalty and the chance to put the tie to bed. But Messi, the greatest player in the world, smashed it off the crossbar. The Camp Nou froze. Chelsea's miracle was still alive. In stoppage time, Barcelona threw everything forward, and the entire team was camped around the Chelsea box. And then, one long clearance changed history. The ball fell to Fernando Torres, alone at the halfway line with open space ahead of him. He sprinted clear, rounded Valdez, and passed the ball into the empty net. Van Goal sealed it. 2-2 on the night, and Chelsea, against every prediction, had eliminated the greatest team in the world with 10 men. Another miracle. And then came the final, Chelsea versus Bayern Munich, a final written by destiny, played inside Bayern's own fortress, the Allianz Arena, a stadium drowning in red, filled with 62,000 fans expecting to witness their team lift the trophy on home soil. For Bayern, everything pointed toward glory. For Chelsea, everything pointed toward disaster. Suspensions had ripped the heart out of the team. No John Terry, no Ivanovic, no Meireles, no Ramirez, the hero of the Camp Nou. Chelsea walked into the biggest match in their history with a patched-up defense, aging legs, and a manager who had taken over mid-season. Something had changed. Chelsea were no longer afraid. They believed. From the first minute, Bayern controlled the match. Wave after wave of attacks crashed against Chelsea's defense. Arjen Robben, Ribéry, Müller, all circling like sharks. And Petr Cech stood alone between Bayern and destiny. He denied Robben many times, blocked long shots, smothered rebounds, held the team together as the pressure grew heavier by the minute. Chelsea defended with heart, with desperation, with everything they had left. But in the 83rd minute, the breakthrough finally came. Toni Kroos floated in a cross. Müller rose at the back post and headed the ball down. It bounced awkwardly, clipped the ground, and crept past Cech. The stadium exploded. Bayern 1, Chelsea 0. 7 minutes from the end, the dream was slipping away. But this Chelsea team had rewritten fate too many times to die quietly. With just minutes left, Juan Mata jogged to take a corner, Chelsea's last chance. He lifted the ball into the box, and rising above Jérôme Boateng, above the weight of the entire season, Didier Drogba powered a magnificent header into the far corner. And in that instant, every Chelsea fan felt the impossible surge back into their chest. A roar of belief, the feeling that somehow this story wasn't over. Chelsea had equalized. It was 1-1. The final went to extra time, but Bayern struck back almost immediately. Drogba tripped Ribéry inside the box. Penalty to Bayern. The stadium braced for the end. Robben stepped up. The man who had once starred for Chelsea, now ready to finish them. He hit it low. Cech guessed right and saved it. The miracle lived on. Extra time ended. Then came the greatest test of nerve, courage, and destiny. Penalties. The shootout began with Lahm scoring and Mata missing, putting Chelsea behind immediately. Gomez made it 2-0, but David Luiz blasted his penalty into the top corner to keep hope alive. Neuer then scored Bayern's third. Lampert answered with power, and suddenly Cech shifted everything by saving Ulrich. Ashley Cole coolly made it 3-3. Then Schweinsteiger hit the post after Cech's touch, leaving Chelsea one kick from destiny. And suddenly, it all came down to one man, Didier Drogba, the man who had carried Chelsea for a decade, the man who scored the header that changed everything. He placed the ball down, took a deep breath, and with one calm, perfect stroke, sent Neuer the wrong way and buried the winner. Chelsea, champions of Europe. For the first time in their history, against every prediction, every obstacle, every impossibility, they lifted the Champions League trophy in the heart of Munich. This was more than a victory. It was redemption for 2009. It was payback for every heartbreak. And this was Chelsea. But it wasn't the last time football shattered logic, because if you think this was one of the wildest journeys in Champions League history, wait until you see what Real Madrid did in 2022. Comebacks that defied reality, a run so impossible that no team, and I mean no team, will ever repeat it. A story full of miracles and magic. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic football stories.
It was very interesting. Definitely check out their channel, watch the video on your own, and give them a like. It's so crazy that sometimes some managers without prior experience manage to win the Champions League, like this coach. I think his name was Roberto. For some reason, I always thought that when Chelsea won this UCL, I thought Mourinho was the manager in Chelsea, but I was wrong. Thanks for watching. See you later.